Okay, hi guys, welcome back to Exes and O's, a podcast where we talk about queer relationships and sex. If you're watching, I am coming to you live from Jim and Deb's apartment that they shared together, my favorite exes in the world. I'm currently on tour. I'm in the middle of my tour. I'm halfway through the tour. If you have already come to the tour, thank you so much. If you are coming to the tour in the future, thank you so much. If you haven't bought a ticket to the tour, please come to the tour. We're having the best time ever. I am so tired right now because I just finished my Dallas show literally like an hour ago. So I'm exhausted, but I am having the best time ever. And I think the show is so fun. So please, please, please come. If you were thinking about it, if you're on the edge of coming or not coming, edging. Ever heard of it? Okay, please come. I love you so much. I'm so fucking tired right now, right this second. I'm so tired, but I am having the best time ever. So please come hang out with me. Come hang out with me and Vanessa. Come hang out with me, Vanessa, and McLean. Come see me and my guests. We're having the best time ever, ever, ever. Okay, I love you. Buy a ticket to my tour. That's all I have to say because I'm so tired I have to sleep. Thank you. I love you. This episode is sponsored by Shopify. All the clothing I have ever sold ever in my whole life, if you've been following me ever, has been through Shopify. It is the best and easiest platform to grow your business. I'm a firm believer in that, and I think you will be too after you try it. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout I use at Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/exes, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/exes and upgrade your selling today. And one more time, that's shopify.com/exes. This episode is sponsored by Indeed. Hiring the right people quickly is so important, especially right now when time is as precious as it is. Like, it's so important to find the right person and do it fast. Something I love about Indeed is how easy they make the hiring process. If I had used Indeed while I was growing my business, it would have made my life so much easier. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring process today with Indeed. And listeners of my show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/XS. Just go to Indeed.com/XS right now and support my show by letting Indeed know I told you about them. And one more time, that's Indeed.com/XS. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. This episode is sponsored by Calm. I first downloaded Calm in 2020 when life felt very, very intense, and it does seem like life still feels very, very intense still now in 2025. But Calm is the #1 app for sleep and meditation, giving you the power to calm your mind and change your life. Stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. For listeners of my show, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/Shannon for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/Shannon. RuPaul necessarily he didn't want trans women to be on the show.
I mean, he spoke about it in an interesting way, and it just based on his public comments, both on the show and then on social media, it was really difficult to figure out what the situation was.
It seems like it's coming from that same kind of thinking, and
old school thinking,
drag.
For sure. I mean, RuPaul is like a classic old school drag entertainer, very traditional in that regard.
Yeah.
And I'm here for part of that thinking. Like, I'm a classic kind of queen as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to people being treated in a certain way, I just want people to really be treated fairly.
Yeah, or excluded.
And
also,
exactly.
The exclusionary part of it.
And, but I remember, watching Monica Beverly Hills, who was the first woman to come out, trans woman to come out in her season. Mm-hmm. The first woman to come out with Drag Race. Not that I need to chart it, but I do want to give these girls their flowers and appreciate them. was Kylie Sonique Love, because she was in an earlier season, and she eventually came out in the reunion show. But Monica had this really emotional moment on her season on the runway where she came out, and it seemed as though she was also speaking this sort of into existence for maybe if not for the first time, for one of the first times for herself and for other people. I have no idea what she knew or thought before she got there about herself, obviously, but like, you know, I'm not sure how many people she came out to as trans, but like it was a very emotional moment for her. And you know, I think they treated it well in the moment. And RuPaul said, you know, basically like, you know, anybody can do Drag Race and can do drag and Drag Race. But then, like, you know, a couple of years later, you know, literally the next year, you know, there was a whole conversation about like the use of some language that we now regard as transphobic and sort of like not really trans supportive.
Yeah.
And a lot of these words were used regularly in the show. And so there was a conversation online, outside of the show about it. And, you know, Ru was very adamant about saying, I can say what I want on this thing. And so that was sending some mixed signals. Like, you know, are you saying anybody can come on here, but when you come in here, I'm going to call you what I want to call you, regardless of how you feel about it or not?
Yeah.
Because that was basically how it came off. And, you know, I thought that was disappointing. And so I was trying to, like, I didn't have to, like, sit and wonder for that long why it was that I felt like there was an anti-trans vibe related to the show. So that's why I was kind of cautious walking onto the set. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know if they were going to be like, look, boop, 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 get out.
Yeah.
You know, like, I just had no idea. And so I would imagine that's probably how a lot of other girls felt up until, you know, it took a few times of trans women being on the show for people to be able to see, okay, like you can come in here and be like, I'm trans, or like whatever, like coming out on the show like is allows time and space for people to be able to see that. And I think that is a beautiful thing, what it's sort of evolved into, and people being able to have varying degrees of like their connection to their transness or their gender identity play out on the show in different ways, as opposed to maybe some people who did it in a more toxic way, comparing people, using their pre-transition bodies against them, talking about their bodies, you know. And I remember, you know, someone had acknowledged my transness in an interview with RuPaul, and RuPaul was like, oh, no, she basically didn't qualify because she hadn't had, you know, surgery. You know, women have breasts. You have to have breasts.
I mean,
and I was
someone
like,
should have told me that.
Where are
mine?
Exactly. Like, what's the...
Yeah.
Yeah, like that
what
really
does
doesn't
a woman
leave...
even look like?
Exactly. It really doesn't leave room for women who've had a mastectomy. Women who, like, people who are flat-chested.
Like, literally.
Like, it doesn't leave any room for that.
Yeah,
and it also doesn't line up with all of the people who've ever said a man is too feminine. A man is, oh, look at that man. He's basically a woman. Look at, he has long hair and he's wearing nail polish. What are you, a woman? Like,
yep.
That has happened.
Oh, 100%.
People have said that to people who don't identify as women. And so if you can give out womanhood so easily, then why can't we accept it?
Yeah. Why can't it be my own?
Yeah. And so I remember one of the big things that was going around is like this whole conversation about like, what is a woman? That's something that people have used in political circles to define womanhood in a very, very to define womanhood. And generally the next move is to define womanhood on terms of biology only. And I think that womanhood, like, that doesn't even define motherhood. Like, you know, like, motherhood is the relationship is motherhood the relationship between the two people, or is it just that a baby came out of somebody's body?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is something that is, at times it can be one, and times it can be the other, depending on how you are describing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I saw recently that I really enjoyed watching is that, like, someone was asking, what is a woman? And the answer was, a woman is a person who uses the gender that usually, but not exclusively, is attributed to female.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just a great way to frame it and present it to people, because it doesn't exclude cis women. It doesn't exclude people who want to describe themselves as females, like the noun of female, because, but female really only acknowledges the biology of a person and their genitalia, really, and maybe the function of their genitalia, not even necessarily how they view their body and how they want to use their body. It doesn't even necessarily describe how other people view their body and see their body, because so much about, like, what we call a man and a woman has to do with what people see. And people will call you that, whatever they see, regardless of having a conversation with you or not. Again, look at that man over there. God, he sure is a woman. We don't know anything about what's going on in their pants. And so it's so wild to me that people, only when they're dealing with trans folks, will be like, well, your chromosomes say this, your gametes inside of your, honey, where's your microscope?
No, literally. Also,
are you like, where, how do you know? That's like me saying your blood pressure right now is, how do you know?
No, literally. And why do you care?
That's the bigger part. I mean, we know why. It's for an opportunity. I mean, it's really a function of, it's like pays off in like sixfold. The discrimination against trans folks excludes trans masc people and trans men in this conversation about sports. Bathrooms, locker rooms, workplace, reproductive rights, all these things. A lot of these things just like skip over trans masculine folks and trans men. First of all, because it's like they would have to address it on a wider. They can't. The argument can't be so narrow. If they address trans men as well.
Plus, people hate women. In general.
Exactly. And then beyond that, to your point, it's really about controlling women and controlling men in the, like, just as the opposite of women, like keeping men in line by keeping women in line, and keeping everybody in these little binaries, keeps them, this is your job, that's your job, and that's it. And it really does keep people in these boxes that I think, in any other situation, they're trying to get out of. And it really limits the function of, I think, how people can see themselves. And I remember when I was younger, always being asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? And like the only options that I had was like a police officer, a fire person, a doctor, or like those are the things that you hear.
The president of the United States.
The ones it's
that
like
everyone
5.
knows.
And there's so many more things that people can be and do with their lives. And that's like a really kind of trite example, but it's the same thing with gender. And it's the same thing with sexuality and who you are and how those things play into you. And so, keeping trans women under control allows people to clearly define the job that they want women to have without actually having to say it to the women. And it also communicates to us people assigned male at birth and men as well. You better not even try this. You know what I mean? I don't know why I'm looking over there. You get it?
I totally get it.
And so it keeps everybody in line. And it also gives people a boogeyman or a boogie person, a demon, a monster to be upset at. Oh my God, you didn't get your raise? it's that trans person. Oh my God, you don't have enough, you can't afford your eggs?
Yeah.
Did you know that trans woman is trying to make it unfair?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Literally, it's just like fear mongering. And there are so few trans people. Like in general, there are so few trans people. There are so many, and I've talked about it before on my podcast, but there are so many hungry kids. There's so many hungry kids. Like, why are we focused on something that is such a small percent of the population? And when we have such serious, huge problems that affect every type of person, like every single person.
When are you going to be concerned about how the food that you're eating
is making us
all sick?
Yeah.
Are you going to blame that on us too?
Literally. No, it's just so much easier than focusing on these bigger problems that seem scarier, actually, if you really think about it. Like figuring out how to feed every kid in America
so daunting.
Maybe more daunting than making sure a trans woman can't go to your restroom.
And you will never see her.
Literally. It's just my favorite TikToks too are when like trans men will post and they'll be like,
"Do you want me in the bathroom?" Yeah,
it's so frustrating. I'm like, right?
What do people say? Like, do you ever read the comments on those, or like?
Yeah, people are like, well, I feel like I'm on a safer side of TikTok, so usually I'm getting it when it's like all the positive reinforcement. I think people don't. First of all, most people don't know a trans person. Most people, and that I think again. Not to bring traders back up, but is like another thing that's so disappointing about the fact that you didn't get to have just even more longevity on the show. That was my
only goal on that show.
Yeah, because it's representation of something so many people do not know, a trans person.
This episode is sponsored by Shopify. There are so many factors that go into making a good business, but I think one that gets overlooked so often is the business behind your business. For my business, that business is Shopify. Shopify is home to the #1 checkout on the planet, and Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales go up. If you're trying to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. It is the best and easiest platform to grow your business. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your platform and get the same checkout that I use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/exes, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/exes and upgrade your selling today. And one more time, that's shopify.com/exes. This episode is sponsored by Indeed. This year has been such a whirlwind for me personally with my business when it comes to hiring people, and I wish so badly that I had used Indeed because it would have been so much quicker and so much easier to hire the right people. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly to Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. I wish when I was hiring people last year, I had used Indeed. It would have made my life so much easier. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there are no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? In the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring process right now with Indeed. And listeners of my show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/XS. Just go to Indeed.com/XS right now and let Indeed know I told you about them. One more time, that's Indeed.com/XS. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. This episode is sponsored by Calm. I think we all can agree life can be very overwhelming, especially in 2025. I think we all could use a little bit of grounding, a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of coming back to ourselves. Calm is the #1 app for sleep and meditation, giving you the power to calm your mind and change your life. Everyone faces unique challenges in their daily lives, and that's why when it comes to mental health, there isn't one cookie cutter approach to helping. That's why Calm offers a wide range of content and programs to help you navigate life's ups and downs, including meditations to help you work through anxiety and stress, boost your focus, build healthier habits, and take care of your physical well-being that will help you drift off to restful sleep quickly and naturally, and grounding exercises if you're feeling overwhelmed. These short guided sessions use sensation, movement, and breath work to help you relax and reset. And they also have expert-led talks to help you handle grief, improve self-esteem, care for relationships, and more. Calm puts the tools you need right in your pocket and can help you dedicate just a few extra minutes a day to live a healthier and happier life. Stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. For listeners of my show, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/Shannon. Go to calm.com/Shannon for 40% off and unlimited access to Calm's full library. And one more time, that's calm.com/Shannon.
People in those comment sections literally shocked because they
didn't even realize that that's who would be in the bathroom with these rules and laws.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Changing the Game on Hulu, and Mac Beggs is a wrestler, trans man, and he, was wrestling. I think it was the high school. He's young, so everybody's young to me. He was either late high school. He was either a senior in high school or a freshman in college, or one of the two. And he has, I believe he started his medical transition in some way, shape, or form, but definitely seeing him walk down the street, you're like, oh, that's some dude.
Yeah.
And so he was wanting to wrestle on the men's team, and they were like, no, you can't. You have to wrestle on the team of the sex that you were assigned at birth. So he had to wrestle on the women's team against the girls. And the people were so angry that they knew he was trans. And they were like, see, this is why. Get this trans man. He belongs in the men's team.
It's so infuriating. Also, maybe this is just a personal thing. How much do we care about sports? Do we care that much about
I'm so sorry.
sports?
If sports were canceled on the planet, I would be so happy. I'm so sorry.
No sports for anyone.
I know there's queer and trans and all types of athletes that deserve a shot.
Just stop playing sports.
I think sports is the problem. If you stop, sports is the cause of people going bankrupt. Not as much as medical bankruptcy in our country, but people lose their shirts and their bets. People lose their lives on the street, getting beaten up because of some stupid college game thing.
Yeah.
Why do we have sports?
It's so crazy.
Who cares?
It's just so. All of this is just so unnecessary, and it genuinely feels like people. I don't believe you care about this. I do not believe that people care about what they are saying they care so deeply about. I'm like, you are so bored. Go volunteer.
When I care about something that much, I know all about it.
Yeah.
And I know every detail that I can. And I'm always on a constant quest to learn more about it. I'm so fascinated by certain things that I'm like, I'll just sit and watch an 8-hour thing of it.
No, these people
don't know. They just same talking points. Anyway.
It's so annoying. Wait, do you know, do you feel like this is totally random now, but I'm just to talk more about your own queerness. Was there a time where you first felt different or that you were, I guess just different in general?
I think I'm going to guess it was from birth.
Yeah.
I don't remember being born. But it was certainly the earliest memories I have. Just knowing, and I guess a lot of people might be able to understand it, who I am today. I don't mean the things I've seen, the movies I've watched, or the people I've talked to, or the music I've listened to, or the flavors that I've tried, and the places I've visited. Not that, but just who I am in this moment, how I feel about myself, and my connection and my awareness of who I am in this space. Is exactly the same as it's always been. And that has always been that of some girl. And, but very quickly, because humanity is a thing and society is a thing,
Yep.
I was seeing my reflection back to me through other people's eyes and what they would say about me, and that just didn't line up. And it's not like I was like, wait a minute, they're calling me. They're saying I have to go into the boys' room. Why would they say that? It's not like I was like obtuse and didn't know.
Yeah.
But like, I just knew that like I was so femme and so not whatever everybody else is going on that like there's something else going on here. And I just didn't have the words to do it in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm wondering if there was like a sweet spot of transness before everyone turned it into this like weaponized thing.
What it is now?
Yeah.
I'd say like 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12.
We're like
13,
doesn't
14.
it feel like there was like a sweet spot in time where like gay people, queer people knew about trans people, and like
everybody was
accepting
supportive.
straight people knew, like open-minded people knew that trans people existed, and like
were welcoming and wanted to, and it that is what felt new for them, and them wanting to.
We wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Like it was like a period of like, okay, let's learn about this thing.
For sure.
It just feels like as soon as it became this mainstream, weaponized, whatever, it's kind of like.
It was 2015.
It's like we went back in time. We went further back in time than where we were.
It was 2015. It was when Donald Trump was running for the first election, and the birtherism, the doubting that Obama was born in this country, was getting old. And that was in like that was between 2012 and 2014 that all that was going on. And he needed to move on to a new situation, and marriage equality had just passed. And so the fact that they needed a new demon and marriage equality had just passed, and there was too many people celebrating it. You weren't going to like overturn marriage equality the year it passed. So like they needed to move on to a new group of people. At the same time, they witnessed so many people being welcoming, saying, we've got a new employee. We have a new policy at work. Here's a new whatever.
Let's put our pronouns in our email.
Exactly.
Like,
oh my gosh. People were like up in arms. And not everybody, but like, you know, certain folks who were able to view and use us as a
scapegoat.
As a scapegoat. And they tried in 2016, but I just think they didn't have enough lead time. And they started with the bathrooms.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. You know, I'm not even sure. The bathrooms doesn't necessarily hold water on its own, no pun intended, on its own, because in order to see the bathroom conversation from all the way to fruition, somebody needs to go into the bathroom and check genitalia.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to actually go into the bathroom when they don't have to go to the bathroom to look and see what people are doing. And that is an invasion of privacy of everybody.
Yeah.
Whereas in the sports conversation, nobody has to be undressed except for the person that you're pointing at. You know, nobody else has to be scrutinized in that situation necessarily. I say if sports is going to be a thing that continues in the future past this time, then I say let's check everyone's hormones. Let's check everyone's chromosomes. Every single person should be tested, not only for drugs, but for performance-enhancing substances, which some of them do anyway. But then let's check everyone's chromosomes. I can guarantee you there's a lot of cis people who will be surprised.
There's a lot of cis people who will find out they're intersex and then have a
That's what I'm saying.
Identity crisis.
They will get, you're going to gag.
Yeah, just like.
You're going to gag.
You guys do not want this. Because it's like isn't it like
it's so much more.
It's a bigger percentage than we are really led to know.
Then we make room for societally, for sure.
For sure.
I think the only room that we had societally up until recently was just like there was a thing called what they were calling hermaphrodites. I've never heard anyone who's intersex use that word.
Yeah.
The only time I knew where to find what people were calling a hermaphrodite was at the circus. and like the actual what they would call freak shows, where you would have like the bearded lady, the lizard person who really wasn't a lizard person.
Yeah.
And so like if the lizard person wasn't really a lizard person and the snake person isn't really a snake, then there's more to this story than what we're saying about what we're calling the hermaphrodite.
Yeah. Also, you realize now, like, those bearded women definitely just had PCOS. Like,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Like, oh, God.
Yeah.
We've done some crazy shit.
Exactly. And somebody was making money off of that. And we hear so much about like circus performers being underpaid, overworked, underpaid, not really, because they couldn't go and get a job at the store or the whatever.
Yeah.
And so like they had to go where they had the only opportunity to work was where they were also being exploited. And many of them were like, there are stories of, formerly enslaved, newly freed Black folks in this country who had like some, physicality that was alternative or something extra going on or whatever they had. And so they were good candidates for the freak show, and they were placed into these circus acts and just weren't paid at all. And then we're also like the people who had to like set up the tent and hitch the thing and take care of the animals and then go and be gawked at while people were, pay $1 to look at this person, all 500 of you, and they would make the money and they would make zero money. And so
it's like one form of slavery to another.
It's like indentured servitude, and it is, it's really interesting. That is what we're talking about with undocumented immigrants in this country right now. It's all related.
It really is. It really is. And if you go see Wicked, the movie,
you can see it in a very entertaining way play out. And it's exactly that.
It's like the same problems over and over again. And like even just like the
inhumanity.
100%. And I feel like the trans thing is completely because the gay thing, everyone's kind of like, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
They kind of lost that battle for now.
Yeah.
But through this conversation of like sex and biology and what God says you're supposed to do, they will be able to go back and visit the gay thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't feel like it's something that's like it's not necessarily feeling safe and cozy. God. Okay, last thing. I was trying to find anything about your dating life. There's like nothing you can find about it. Is that on purpose?
Yes.
Well, congratulations. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Couldn't find a damn thing other than that you like men. That's the only thing. I'm like, okay. Unfortunately for you, I'm so sorry.
I'm trying so desperately. Like, I've got to figure out something because it's not working.
It's not working.
I'm so sorry, darling, over there. Like, yeah. I mean, yeah. Much to my chagrin, I am attracted to men and I identify as a straight woman, which a lot of people like, that blows even the queer folks' minds sometimes, the gays. But I don't have a normal dating life for many reasons, certainly in part because I'm, a working entertainer. Also because I'm sometimes recognizable. So that doesn't necessarily mean that like, oh, if I go out of the house, everyone's going to mob me. It's more that because in order to have a comfort level and some semblance of like privacy and all those things, then I have to operate and I have to change where I go, how I react, what I do, things like that. I decide to do those things. I don't have to, but I decide to do those things. Like if I go to a restaurant, I might not sit in the window.
Yeah.
I'll probably eat in the back area.
Yeah.
Things like that. So like, that's just like a stupid example, but like things like that will also, like I don't have my face on a dating profile.
Really?
Because for certain reasons. Although it is really interesting, my platform is swirling in the queer space.
Yeah.
And so it allows me, as a straight woman who dates men who are stupid and don't read, they don't even know what's going on. They don't really have an awareness of anything in the world beyond themselves.
Yeah.
And so, yay. But I have dated, and I have been loved, and I have loved, and I've learned, which is the most important thing. And I say the biggest reason why I don't have what people would say as a traditional or typical dating experience is because being someone who dates men, who dates people who are part of the oppressive class.
Yeah.
As someone who's very much a part of the non-powerful class, the class of people that are like marginalized and abused and used, it is a weird dichotomy. I mean, straight guys have all the power, and so a lot of these things are on their terms, with the exception of actual sex.
Yeah.
And so I haven't really been, when I've been ready to go out and be like, I'm free, let's go to the place and do this and that. The visibility that I have, and the how obvious I am, makes it difficult for some straight guys who are interested, but like don't necessarily want to become like activists.
Yeah.
Or like speak out on this or that.
Like maybe they'd be down to be in like a more like stealthy relationship, or just like a normal relationship.
Yeah.
Not having to be public facing.
A very private relationship. And I'd say like a normal relationship does, I would hope, include being out in public and being with friends and family and like that level
not like
of
a secret relationship, but not a Instagram public.
Exactly.
Like,
but ours,
red carpet.
There's like a million reasons why it has to be a secret. And so that makes it tough. So there's somebody that like, it's so wild. There's people that like, I feel like I've never had an actual, for that reason, I've never had like a bona fide boyfriend. But there's people that I've been, like dated and loved, and we've loved each other, and had obviously sexual chemistry and all the whole 9 yards for like 4 years.
But it was never your
official thing, and it's really, and we've had. I mean, I can't say I've never met any of my partner's parents. Some of them I didn't meet their family, or some of them we didn't go here. But like I've traveled with them, and I met parents, and like all these different things, and it was still never like my actual, like our relationship was like downgraded from the start.
Do you feel like that's a common phenomenon, like just for trans women in general, or specific to the public thing? Like obviously
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like as trans women, certainly as queer people, we still live in a world where like most of the examples and the things that we see are for cisgender heterosexual people. And so like coming into your queerness and coming into love and relationships and how to relate to each other and I think for a lot of people happens just like on their own time, on their own terms, which is good, but like in their own time, and a lot of times it's a later time. Maybe these days it's younger, because of the way the world has changed. But being trans adds an extra layer to that for sure. Because like I think for other queer folks, like gay men have each other.
For sure.
Gay women have each other. And occasionally there's somebody who wanders in who is still figuring it out. And that I think is problematic for all of us. But it's not problematic to figure it out. But like there are people who don't identify within the community who still are there to take advantage of the fabulous things about the community, but don't necessarily do any work in their life to like, acknowledge or notice that the community is in need of everybody's help. But, as if you're a heterosexual trans, now I'm only speaking as a trans woman who dates men.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the trans men have not been knocking on my door. Now, listen, there's something that testosterone does to the human brain.
Mm.
But I think dating a trans man would be like, you know, I don't know, but I would hope that there'd be a certain level of understanding and things like that. And we're obviously both part of the queer community. But I've been fortunate enough to only date cisgender heterosexual men.
Yeah.
And like they're the least self-aware group. And they're also the most, in my experience, the group that wants everything to cater to them. And so that makes it difficult. If I'm having a problem, you know, if I want to celebrate Pride and go to the parade, or if I'm worried about what's going on politically and if I'm going to lose my health care, I can't talk to my straight partner about that. He's going to be like, bitch, I don't care. I voted for him.
Yeah. No, you're so right. It's like also like that just has to be kind of like an isolating experience because a straight cis man is the antithesis in a way of queer. So, and if you are a trans woman, like you are kind of like the epicenter of queerness in so many ways. And
it's unavoidable.
And then you're coming from such different worlds. And I don't know, I guess you would have to find there. It feels like it would be a unique straight cis man who wants to like envelop himself into the community in a way and love a trans woman proudly.
It is possible.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, it's necessary.
100%.
And it's not just necessary for like the safety. I mean, considering that, you know, like each year with the visibility of trans people, the murder rate against trans women and the rate that trans women, especially trans women of color, are often murdered globally, but also in our country, increases at the hands of usually our partners, these straight men. Considering that, you know, it's not just for the benefit of trans women, but it's also for the benefit of like what it means to be a human who's in touch with other humans. Like, it's great to be a human, I guess. Why is it so great to be a human? Because of other people.
What else would be the point of all of this?
So why not connect with as many different types as you can and support as many? I want to survive. I want you to survive. We should all survive.
Yeah.
Let's survive and not harm anything.
Yeah.
And harm as little as possible and blah, blah, blah. And so like that, it just doesn't seem to be the story for some people. Some people are like, the only way for me to survive is to make sure that you can't survive.
Yeah. It's like, it's not me or you, by the way.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what they feel like it is. And so the Dr. Angela Davis basically said, I won't quote, but basically said in an interview during the pandemic that she believes that queer people, out of context, I think queer people in general, but especially trans people, anyone who is operating and living and hopefully thriving outside of the typical boxes of either race, gender, sexuality, or even class, maybe, are showing us a different way than what was prescribed in the box. This is the box of what it means to be a woman. This is what all women have to do and be and feel and think and act. So if you're doing anything outside of that, then you are evolved from that box. Trans people are on the other side of the damn thing. And so she said that trans folks are showing us a version of humanity that's basically living outside of a lot of these confines. And isn't that what humans want to be, is free, liberated from confinement? And trans people, as human and as flawed as we are doing things in a way, are doing a certain thing in a different way that so many people can't find themselves to do. And it doesn't mean everybody's trans and needs to transition. But in order to think of one's gender and sexuality in a different way, it allows them to see other possibilities for themselves that they probably wouldn't have seen had they not walked that same path.
And that's scary, I think, for people.
Is frightening for some people.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this was amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your time. I'm like just feeling like you need to go, so I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I would love to have you on anytime.
I will come back again, and when I'm in LA, I will come cuddle in bed with you.
Hey, I have like a bad habit of saying like you have to come in my bed, and then every time
they're like, wait a minute.
I'm like, oh my God, yes, come cuddle in my bed.
I love it.
Okay, you guys, you can follow Peppermint on all of her socials. I'll have them in the description below. Do you have anything like coming up that you want people to pay attention to?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'd love for people to watch the new season of Survival of the Thickest, which comes out in a couple of months. So we still have a little bit of time, but it comes out in a couple of months on Netflix. I'd love for people to go and listen to the podcast that I have with Bob the Drag Queen, Town Hall, a Black Queer podcast. And then join my book club. It's currently on Alstora, and it's called Queer History 101. And it's with Hugh Ryan, amazing person. And then obviously like go to my socials and like follow, and I'll keep you updated.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Fun.